more juicy can it get? Today we're going to talk about raw food. This is vibrant, juicy, healthy, beautiful food that we need to nourish our body and our spirit, don't we?
Absolutely. It's the way nature intended it. If we were meant to eat cooked foods, it would have grown on trees that way.
I love it. I'm today with Rod. He actually wrote a book, The Raw Food for Real People. We're definitely the real people. Especially when you're leaders and when you're up to making things happen in the world, you definitely need to charge up with some beautiful vitamin and energy.
Absolutely. I know I would not be nearly as effective as an entrepreneur, as a chef, if I weren't eating raw foods. I have so much more energy than if I eat, if I eat like the standard American diet, forget it. I just wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah. So how did you discover raw food? I heard you went in France. Tu parles français aussi?
Je parle français aussi, mais no.
This one will be in English.
This one will be in English. No, I discovered raw foods about 16 years ago now. I was in New York City on a visit, and I was doing consciousness workshops there. And the people who were leading the workshops were into raw foods because they felt it raised their vibration, made them clearer, less subject to food jags, all that. And I thought I'd give it a try. And I did, and I fell in love with it and felt so great eating it. And, eventually it was like, oh my God, this is the way the gods are, the human beings are meant to eat. This is like the food of the gods, This was a revelation for me. And the more I got into it, the more I wanted to go further and further. And then I was able to put together my sort of business background with my artistic chefing background and put this all together for creating a raw food business.
Yeah, because you have a restaurant here, and this food has been absolutely amazing. We tried some of these it's really good. So you're based are we in Santa Monica right now?
We're in Culver City, which is adjacent to Santa Monica, but we're on the west side of Los Angeles, and it's called Leaf Organics. And we've been around for almost 7 years now, actually.
Californians love it.
Yeah, you know what? I have people coming from all over because they've heard of it in other places. California, we're just lucky because we have more of it accessible. But yeah, California is a great place for it because we have so much organic produce right here. Also, most of the organic produce grown in this country grows in California.
Yeah.
And then we have beautiful weather most of the time, except for yesterday. And yeah, it's a great place to be doing it.
So what makes raw food so special?
Well,
why eating raw food? What are the benefits of eating raw foods, actually, would you say?
Well, I'm going to answer that question kind of with an end run, which is like, first of all, it's like, why are we eating all our food cooked and heavily processed and full of all kinds of chemicals and hormones and insecticides and pesticides and what I call slow suicide? You mean, why are raw foods good for you? That's what grows in nature. We are animals, right? Every other animal on the planet eats their food raw. So really the question is, why would we eat food that's been cooked and denatured? That's really, if you really want to look at it really kind of common sense wise, that's the question. If you came down from another planet and were evaluating the Earth, you'd notice that every animal on the planet except one eats their food raw. And you might also notice that this one species that eats mostly cooked foods and processed foods is also the only species that has a high rate of things like heart disease and cancer and diabetes and obesity.
So it's adding to the stress. It's adding to the everyday.
I think at least
things that we're bombarded with.
I think it's even bigger than that. I think at least 90% of the health problems in this country are directly due to the food that we eat. Directly. And then, of course, a big part of our environmental disaster is because the largest contributor to global warming is the livestock industry. That's the industry that produces all the meat and dairy and eggs for our consumption. That's the #1 contributor to global warming, more than all the cars and trucks combined. Because every time that we sit down to a meal, every time we lay down $1 to buy food, we're helping to create the world that we're going to live in. We're either going to be financing the organic farmers, the farmers markets, the co-ops and so forth, or we're going to be financing huge industrial food concerns, which are only about the bottom line, and they couldn't care less about the externalities of environmental degradation.
And what do you think about dairies then?
Well, you know what? It used to be that we had little farmers and they had a few cows and a few sheep and a few goats. But nowadays, it's nothing like that. It's huge enterprises with thousands and thousands of heads of cattle all on one small piece of land, and they try and make it everything super efficient to get as much meat out of, they use hormones. They, if the animal's sick, pump them for the hormones, and it's pretty horrific what we've done when we've totally removed any thought or sensitivity to an animal as a sentient being. But that's what we've done in our society. So, is milk bad? In and of itself, it's not a terrible thing, especially if you happen to be a heifer, a young cow, because that's what they're meant to drink. But human beings, can you imagine a human being underneath a cow trying to get some milk? It's a little bit ludicrous.
We're already grown. We're
already grown up. When we were younger, we had human milk, Hopefully people actually still do that. And the point is, the cow milk is meant to take a heifer, a baby cow, from something like, I think they're born at around 150 pounds to, I don't know, it's something like 1,000 pounds in a very short period. And then we're going to go drink that and expect it's not going to have some health consequences? Of course it is. And we're being led to believe by the milk, dairy, and egg industries that we need these products in order to get enough protein and calcium and all this other stuff. That's propaganda at best. We have, everyone in this country is obsessed with protein.
Yeah.
Always, whenever I give a talk or I teach a class or whatever, they always ask me, well, where do you get your protein? And I'm like, well, where does a cow get its protein? Where does an elephant? Where does an ape?
And they're huge.
They're huge and huge muscles. They get it from mostly green leafy vegetables.
Yeah.
Grass. We human beings can eat a lot of green leafy vegetables, salads, and so forth.
What are the most proteinic of them? There's such a word as proteinic.
No, but it's a nice one. I like proteinic. It's nice. I think you should patent that one. Well, there's some really high ones, like broccoli is super high in protein as a green leafy vegetable. It's a cruciferous, I think, actually. But for instance, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was just our governor, and he used to be big in bodybuilding. He had a program for putting on bulk and muscle. If you ate his caloric requirements in broccoli alone, you would have ended up with 4 times the amount of protein he recommended. See, most people don't realize there's a lot of protein in green leafy vegetables. Or that legumes like chickpeas and lentils and mung beans and peanuts, those are super high in protein also. There's more protein pound for pound in chickpeas, also known as garbanzo beans, than there is in red meat. And it's more assimilable by the human body.
Yeah, because those enzymes are still there and do their work then with the digestive system.
And that's other aspect of why raw foods are good for us. Aside from just the intuitive, well, of course, that's how nature provided it, but there scientifically is that every food comes with its own set of digestive enzymes, which are perfect for breaking down that food. So, okay, an apple has certain enzymes which break down an apple, an avocado, enzymes which break down an avocado, but when you cook these foods above about 118 degrees Fahrenheit, you start killing the enzymes. All right, so then your body has to work extra hard to digest the food. Why would we do that to our food? I remember, when I was bringing up my daughter's over 5 now, but we brought her up as a raw kid, and people ask me, well, why do you bring your kid up raw? Aren't you afraid, and all that? And it's kind of silly because virtually every scientific study shows that when you heat process food at high temperatures, you degrade the nutritional value of the food. So why would I think I might actually not give her enough nutrition by doing raw? It's the other way around. But we live in this society and everyone around us eats cooked food and it seems like the normal thing to do, so we kind of don't really look at it like straight in front of us.
Yeah. And how about some people live in colder country though, so it can be, some people say, well, how do I continue eating cold raw food when it's cold outside? I mean, you have great weather here in California, but
yeah, no, I've done this all over the world. The truth is, whether a food is warming or cooling to our body depends on the minerals in the food. It doesn't depend on the temperature of the food. That's psychological.
Okay.
So you eat a hot bowl of soup,
yeah.
Well, okay, it's going to have some warming effect, but not very much. The warmth, the energy in that food from the heat energy is very little compared to our body energy. It might warm us up a little bit, but it's more about the minerals in the food. So for instance, the most warming food in the world is pumpkin for some reason. Pumpkin is very, very warming. And like ginger and hot peppers, and there's all these warming foods. And things that are very cooling are like mango or seaweed. So whether you eat the seaweed hot or cold, it's going to have virtually the same amount of warming or cooling effect in this case on your body.
This is one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, because it seems like we said earlier we're like conditioned mentally to eat cooked food, but there's really these addictions to how we've been eating for years and years. So is there some advice that you have as to how to decondition ourselves even physically to get ready to eat really a raw food diet, even 80% raw food?
Yeah, sure. First of all, let me preface by saying that the object should not be to be 100% raw, in my opinion.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, the object, in my opinion, is to be healthy and happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Good point.
I mean, everyone's like, oh, I'm raw, and I'm 98.3% raw, and I'm like, well, which finger's not cooked? I mean, or is cooked? I mean, it's like, look, the object is to be happy and healthy. If as much as raw foods helps us to be that, then great. But let's not put raw as like the ultimate.
Yeah.
Happy and healthy, to me, that's more up there than raw. So, but I do know from my own experience and the experience of so many other people that the more raw foods I eat, the better I feel. The better I look, I have more energy, and all those other things which I'm still quite attached to. So it does work. So it's not about raw being like this ultimate ideology or anything. It's not a dogma. It works.
Yeah. And
when you eat raw foods,
whatever
amount, you need to find your own balance. I mean, everyone's starting from a different place. Everyone has a different food culture that they grew up with. Their lifestyles are different, where they live, the temperature, the available foods. Everyone needs to find out what works for them. And the best way to do that is to listen to our bodies.
Yeah.
So many people are looking for someone else to tell them how to do it. I get that in my classes, and I'm like, look, don't do what I say. Listen to your body. Go and taste that food. First, look at it, smell it, taste it. How does it feel? How does it taste in your mouth? No, don't touch that now. 5 minutes later, how do you feel? Half an hour later.
Yeah.
In the morning when you wake up, after what did you eat the night before? How do you feel this morning? Are you alert? Does your body feel well? Because your body is a biofeedback mechanism. That's how human beings survived on the planet. We didn't have, doctors of nutrition and so forth telling us what to eat. We just did that. But we were conscious when we were doing it. We weren't watching the TV or playing on the internet.
No. But right now our body is a bit toxic, right? So what can we do to...
Well, speak for yourself.
I mean, a lot of us have addictions then to things.
Yes.
And,
most of us grew up with addictions.
Yeah.
My daughter is an exception because she grew up just on raw foods. So she never got addicted to refined sugars or to meats or to all the other things that are out there. But yeah, I mean, I grew up addicted to all kinds of things, and I deal with it on a daily basis, just like any other addict addicted to any other substances. We all, in our society, virtually all of us, grew up addicted to foods. And the only way to deal with it that I found is to bring your awareness to it. So, if it's like...
Positive conscious eating. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, say for instance, I drive by a pizza place and I smell pizza. And I'm like, whoa, that smells good, wow. And I grew up with that. I can make pizza on the back of my knuckles. My dad taught me when I was a kid. I grew up with that culture, so it has a draw. I have an addiction or whatever. But I use my mind first. I'm like, okay, let's see, what does the picture of Rod who eats pizza every day look like? And I know what it looks like. It's shaped like that. Okay, my last name is Rotondi, which in Italian means the round ones.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting.
If I eat the standard American diet, I'll be like that in no time. So it works for me not to do that. I mean, I do, and then let me say up front, I do not, these days, in the last months, I do not eat 100% raw. Okay? But I do eat mostly raw foods, and I love it, and it tastes good, and it makes me feel good. But for me, I did for years all raw, you know, years, and I cleaned my body out really, really well. So everyone has to find their own balance at different parts of their lives.
Some people recommend doing detox before.
Detoxing is really great for most people. Look, there's no one way to do it. You don't have to detox beforehand. A lot of the detoxing that's out there right now is, in my opinion, over the top. A lot of it is really harsh, really sudden, quick detoxing that brings on all kinds of detox reactions. Like you get rashes, and you get nauseous, and you get all. And I'm thinking, well, you know, that's not really the answer. I mean, what we're really trying to get to is actually being loving to ourselves, because really that's what it's all about. So when we start gently eating, adding some raw food to our diet, doing a juice in the morning, making a nut milk smoothie, you know, these kind of easy, a big salad at night, these kind of nice, gentle things that feel good, taste good. This is really, we're looking for a lifestyle that we can actually live with, something that's sustainable. I mean, so many people are doing the oversteering thing. You know, they've been eating this way, terrible food for so long, and then suddenly they're going to eat, you know, they're going to go on a water fast for 21 days. And then after that, they're going to be going back over this way. It's like, so I think it's better to try to do incremental change, create positive results that reaffirm our desire and our feeling that we can do this, and then slowly move our way forwards.
Makes sense.
There are a few people out there who do better all at once. I did that, but I don't think everybody is suited to do that. I don't think it's the best way to do it for most people.
And we can really eat great food. I mean, this was absolutely amazing to taste some of this at lunch. I know I tried that. Tell us about what's here in this plate, for example. And all those are recipes that you have in your book?
Yeah, I think so. This is the cashew cream cheese, which is...
No cream cheese, really.
No
it's
cheese.
All vegan.
It's made with, you know, basically cream cheese uses the fat of dairy to make it nice and thick and creamy. So I use the fat from nuts, cashews in this case. Honestly, I think it's better than normal cream cheese. Try it. You had that one at lunch?
Yeah, I can
that one is so popular. People are crazy. Then we have like a spicy California rolls over here. I've got some of my corn chips. Corn chips are, oh my God, they're like, it's like addictive like a potato chip, but they're all good. Yeah, they're all raw. They're all really good for you. This is a kale chip, which is delicious, and it's basically a kale salad made into a cracker. I got some
And then you use a dehydrator, how do you say?
Dehydrator.
This is the
I like the way you say it better. And this is a sprouted chickpea hummus. So most hummus you buy in the markets is made, to get the chickpeas soft, they boil it for a couple of hours, which you can imagine. I mean, obviously when you boil something for hours, you're going to lose a lot of the nutrition. Certainly the life force in the food. This is made the original way that hummus was made. I actually lived in a Bedouin village in the Sinai in Egypt for years, and the original way it was made was they'd carry the chickpea with them. When they got to the spring, they would soak the chickpea for 24 hours or so. It would germinate, start to grow. They'd let it grow for about a day or two, sprouting, and it would get soft and grow a little white tail and get soft and sweet. And then they'd mash it up and add some salt and, you know, all the ingredients, lemon, parsley, tahini, which is just ground sesame seeds, and they'd have this, you know, beautiful living hummus in the middle of the desert.
So is that so you let it soak most of the time? Most of these you let it soak and sprout a little bit before doing it? Or?
Look, there's two basic food processing techniques that were fundamental to the way human beings made food for millions of years, and are now almost unused. And one is sprouting, and the other one is dehydration. So the sprouting actually creates more nutrition. It pre-digests the food, so it's easier for us to assimilate the nutrition from the food, and it enables us to work with it. And then, so what the Bedouin would do is, because they couldn't make hummus every day, they would make a big batch of it and make little balls, stick it on a rock in the sun in the morning, and because it's hot and dry there, by the end of the day, that little ball is now golden brown on the outside and warm and yummy and crispy, and that is the original falafel. See, falafels didn't used to be deep fried.
Yeah. Because when we deep fried it, it's bad.
It creates carcinogens and whatever. So in our restaurant at Leaf Organics, we make falafel, but we dehydrate it. Yeah, we didn't bring a rock from Egypt. We actually found a dehydrator.
This is awesome. And then what's also wonderful, I just love it. I was a raw vegan for a year, and I really found that I was like that, and I could eat a lot of these desserts without feeling the guilt of it. I mean, the digestive system just works, and these
desserts are
delicious.
The easy way into raw foods, because honestly, there's no sacrifice involved at all. That's an apple spice cashew cream cake.
Okay, I'm gonna try that.
Everyone is crazy. It's one of my favorites. We have a chocolate raspberry cheesecake. You know, we have mango cheesecakes. We have chocolate mousses. That's a apple compote.
Compote de pomme. Okay, I'm gonna try this. This is cashew, huh?
Yes.
Oh, this is unbelievable.
So I was learning how to make a traditional American apple pie from when I was 3 or 4 with my dad, because he's a real big baker. So I learned how to make the traditional one. So when I got to the raw version years later, you know, I really knew what it's supposed to be like, and I made that version of it. So it has really a lot of the feeling of the taste of a traditional American apple pie, but it's raw, vegan, and organic.
And what's amazing is that it makes us feel good. The guilt is not there, and which I believe is a big part too of us digesting in a better way. Because then you don't have the stress. A lot of us stress when we eat something with calories, whereas here it's not even a matter of calories, because nuts are calorific.
Sure. But I agree with you, and I always tell people, look, I don't care what you're eating, enjoy it. You know, look, if you're going to eat a Big Mac, at least enjoy the damn Big Mac. Your body's going to have to deal with it anyway. So, like, whatever you're eating, enjoy your food. I always sign my books and love your food, love your planet, love yourself. Because you know what? It's food. You know, it's food. But unfortunately, a lot of people are afraid of food, especially people who are trying to get healthy. You know,
what do you mean by afraid?
I find
not trusting food. I'm not trusting.
Yeah, they're afraid. They're like, oh my God, what is that? Is that squeeze? And is that juice? And what kind of machine to use that? And does that have that kind of seed? And they're like, there's so much in their head about the food that they forget to just look at it, smell it, taste it. You know, how does that feel for me? I mean, sure, okay, use your head for the science, but don't forget common sense, and that you are able to kind of get a lot out of just some sort of tactical sensory perception of your food, right? I mean, if you eat, you don't have to worry so much about all the macronutrients when you eat fresh food from nature. You need to make sure that you get some basic things, that it's a balanced diet. It's not just all fruit or all whatever.
Or all one color too, I heard. Is that right, that we need a bit of every color? A bit of everything?
I don't know. There's so many little gimmicks around food, your blood type, the color, this. I don't know. Come on. You know, none of this stuff should be that complicated. A squirrel knows exactly what to eat.
Yeah.
Okay? How come we human beings are supposed to be the smart animal are so damn confused?
Because we've been conditioned.
We've been conditioned, and we're being lied to constantly, and brainwashed by the media and advertisements and billboards and all that kind of stuff. But still, the squirrel knows that it eats seeds and nuts, and not only that, it will actually take the seeds and nuts and bury them in the ground until they've had a chance to ferment and actually have more probiotics in them, and then they eat them. Okay, we're supposed to be the smart ones here. That's all I'm going to say.
Tell us about this one.
That's lasagna. That's you know, a raw version of lasagna, a lasagna.
Lasagna.
So I grew up, you know, my family is Italian origin.
Yeah.
I grew up with all the great Italian foods. I can make gnocchi from scratch, and but this is my version of it. It's a mushroom lasagna, and I use yellow squash as the pasta, the pat. I marinate it a certain way to make it so a little bit more doughy. And then we use a fresh marinara sauce and a mushroom layer, and ricotta cheese, which we make with pine nuts and cashews, and I make a Parmesan cheese and a cheese sauce, and it's pretty yummy. What do you think?
It's excellent, really, really, and very, very flavorful.
Yeah, thank you.
And you have all these in there?
Yeah, I think they're all in there. The DVD and the book have tons of recipes. The book is like, if you learn well, like just like by reading recipes, it's kind of engaging. I wrote it in a way that told a lot of stories about my life and about how I encounter different foods and how human beings encounter food and the history of food in some ways. And it's kind of a good read and kind of gets you involved. I think it's important, you know, to feed your brain first. You have to motivate yourself. So there's a lot of things you can read or watch videos or all that kind of stuff, which kind of gets you motivated, you know, and then feed your body. Because once you've got the information and you're like, oh wow, I really want to do this. I really want to get healthy, and then, you know, so that's all in that book. And then there's tons of recipes.
Do you have that kale? Was
kale
awesome,
salad?
Your salad in
there? Yeah, that's in that book, and it's in the DVD as well.
Avocado,
simplest
lemon,
salad in the world.
Kind of vinaigrette. It's really awesome because the creaminess of the avocado blends in with, sometimes the kale can be a little bit harsh.
Yeah, and the lemon softens everything up and marinates it, and a little sea salt, and then you can put up whatever you want from there. And yeah, that kale salad is one of my favorites.
What else is your favorite?
Oh gosh.
So all of them, huh?
Really
Bring it on. Oh, this is a brownie too. You do brownies, raw brownies?
Yeah, we do brownies, we do ice cream, we do all kinds of desserts. And the DVD is pretty much a lot of the same plus the new ones. The DVD is actually 3 DVDs in one set. It's huge. I mean, it's like 6 hours or something. You can sit there and watch every single step. And you want to learn how to do it, this book and this DVD, I mean, I've been doing this for like 15, 16 years now. And I wanted to make it really accessible for people.
Yeah.
I wanted to make it possible for people anywhere in the world to do it in their own home for themselves and for their families. You know, this is more than just, I don't know, a new cookbook or something. It's like, this food really works for making people optimally healthy. And especially if you're dealing with any kind of health challenges, going back to nature works. Hippocrates, who was the father of modern medicine, said, let food be thy medicine. It works. My dad is diabetic. He came and visited me for 9 days and ate mostly only my food. The day he arrived, he was doing 52 units of insulin a day, 5-2. The day he left, he was down to 15. And he said that he could actually have dropped it if he wanted to. They have amazing results with people who are diabetics. Usually within a month, there's no symptoms left from diabetes. Yeah. There's so many ways which raw foods really works. Yeah. And it's not, you know, you don't have to be, you know, a PhD in anything to figure this stuff out.
Yeah,
it makes sense. We're animals. We're animals. Hello, we're animals. So eating real food, nature that grows on a tree, that grows on the ground, not putting chemicals in it or hormones, or not sticking in a microwave, you know. We need to reestablish a relationship with food. Plant food in your backyard. Get a little a window box if that's all the space you have. You know, food like comes from the ground. It's from the planet. It's sun and earth. We need to remember what food is, not just push a button on a microwave or drive through a drive-through fast food place.
And it's likely that if we had a dead cow or a dead animal or a piece of fruit to choose from, and we were starving, we would go for the fruit, wouldn't we?
Let's hope so.
Well, thank you. This was an awesome
You're very welcome.
Thank you for educating us about the raw foods. It feels good.
Awesome.
It does feel good.
My pleasure. Next time in French.
En français la prochaine fois. Much love, my beautiful co-creator. This is juicy. Eat raw. Yes.